Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm Janet Metcalf. I live in Bristol, New Hampshire. And just like the rest of you here, I load up all my trash each week and take it to the transfer station. As you may recall, in 2018, there appeared, it seemed to me suddenly, a sign at the station, I think it was in the summer, that said, due to circumstances beyond our control, increased costs, we can no longer recycle items here. Well, that's what got me involved in this issue, and it also is what caused the town of Bristol, the select board, to establish a committee, a sustainability committee, to take a look at what's happening with our trash, why we had to stop recycling, and what's it look like in the future down the road, and how can we afford to do the things that we want to do in our transfer station. That's what I want to look at with you a little bit today. The Sustainability Committee, if you're not familiar with it, you should go on the town website and click the link and find out. We are doing a lot of things this past year, informing, educating, and involving residents on issues concerned with making Bristol a sustainable community. And that means not only doing what's right for the environment, but it also means being able to continue to pay for services that we want in order to keep our community and to allow it to grow and thrive. And I'm proud to be a part of this committee, and this is what the committee has been working on this last year around trash disposal. So let's talk trash. 100 years ago, everyone, if you lived in the country, you just threw your bottles and scrap metal and things out in the woods behind your house. But over the years, fortunately, trash disposal for communities has evolved. And up until the 1980s, at that time, Bristol established the transfer station that we know about today. And of course, it has changed over the years to meet the needs of a growing Bristol. In 2019, you all know that we completed a newly designed transfer station, which I think we can all agree does a great job of moving us through quickly and smoothly. And it's an easy way to dispose of our trash, largely due to all the hard work of the people that help us there and keep it clean and organized. Thanks, guys. Not an easy job, I know. But trash disposal has been a concern not just for the town of Bristol, but for towns across New England, throughout our country, and in fact, it's an issue that the world is looking at because we're creating more trash and the cost of disposing of it continues to go up. In 1960, each person produced about 2.68, just under about 2.5 pounds of trash per person per day. By 2018, that number had increased to 4.9 pounds of trash per person per day in the US. That's almost 5 pounds of trash. So if you even multiply that by the number of residents in Bristol, you can see why we have a concern about what we do with our trash. At the same time, we have been seeing in the town of Bristol and throughout the New England area an increased cost each year in the hauling and disposal of our trash. So what caused this crisis in 2018 that required that we had to suspend recycling? Well, China, interestingly enough, is the number one buyer, has been the number one buyer of waste products in the US. Largely plastic waste, but also waste products as well. And in 2018, for reasons I won't go into today, they just said, no, we're not taking any more plastic waste. We don't want any more of your waste products. Well, that threw the waste disposal industry into a spiral because there weren't contingency plans. It happened pretty suddenly and nobody was prepared for what to do. This drove the costs of recycling and disposal of trash itself so high that the town of Bristol didn't have money in the budget and we had to suspend recycling. Plastic waste is what set off the crisis of recycling, largely because China refused to take it, but it's always been at the sort of center stage of recycling because it takes 450 years for plastic to break down in the environment. And we're increasingly finding that it's showing up in our water supply, in fish and animals, and in fact in our own bodies. So it's of great concern what we're doing with plastic waste. But interestingly enough, plastic waste is only 13% of the waste that we produce. Food waste, organic waste, is 24% of the waste that we produce each year. And that's where composting comes in. And I think we're going to have a program on composting in the future under Locally Produced. You should tune in for that. And you can also check out what's happening in Vermont, where they have mandated that everybody compost now, and it's creating some interesting new jobs in that state and a lot of creative ideas, ways to get rid of food waste. Paper products, cardboard boxes, mixed paper like our junk mail, that combined is about 24% of our waste. And raise your hand if you haven't been producing a lot more cardboard waste, because I know if you're like me, you're buying a lot more products online, which all come in cardboard boxes. So these together, along with glass, metal, and other things that we can recycle, produce a big percentage of our waste. In fact, non-recyclable waste is around 26% of everything that we take to the transfer station. So you can see that our recyclable trash is a huge part of what we pay for when we get rid of trash. So let's just take a minute and look at when you take your bags of garbage to the transfer station, what happens to them? Well, right now, most of our trash is sent to the Wheelabrator incinerator, which is in Pennacook. I'm really happy that we do not take our trash to a landfill, because landfills are commonly used throughout New England, and in fact throughout the country, and they are becoming more and more of a problem because, why? They're filling up. We're producing more trash, we put it in the ground, we fill up the ground with the trash, and there's no more space. And who wants a landfill in their backyard? So there's also issues with what happens to the land around it. Once it's filled up, you can't use the land again. So I'm really, really thankful to the town of Bristol for choosing to incinerate our trash. And the incinerator in Pennacook actually produces energy, enough energy to heat 14,000 homes. So that's a really good thing. We also recycle glass. It's crushed and turned into aggregate, which is used on roadways. Our aluminum cans are picked up by volunteers and donated to charity. We recycle our scrap metal. Our brush and leaves are burned on site, and so we get rid of that. But we have learned that recyclable items are a huge part of the trash that we have. And this past year, our committee took a close look at what we could do in the future. Is it possible to recycle some of these items? And how can we do it economically so that we can afford to do it? We toured transfer stations in more than 10 towns in the surrounding area. We talked to numerous people involved in this industry and looking towards the future. And here is what we found out. China's refusal to take our waste products created a problem, but it also created a business opportunity, which we are seeing now play out in the New England area. More and more companies are starting now to develop ways to buy recyclable items and reuse them, repurpose them into other items. For example, the paper mills. Many of the old paper mills are now investing in equipment to buy cardboard, corrugated cardboard boxes and repurpose it into what's called cardstock, which is what we see in our cereal boxes. There's a growing new industry in New England which is producing opportunities for us to develop recycling again. We now know that if we pull recyclable items out of our mainstream, we can, number one, reduce the volume of trash that we have to have someone haul away for us. And at the same time, that we have learned that there is a market to buy recyclable items. So here's the good news. Rather than paying someone, a company, to haul all our trash away, which we're currently doing, we can now find markets that will pay us to take some of these items. So having learned all this over the past year and seeing the growing trend in markets, in purchasing markets for recyclable items, our committee put together a proposal which has been adopted by the Select Board and will be introduced as a warrant article at our annual meeting, March 12th. This article will buy equipment which will allow us to bundle cardboard and cardboard boxes and sell it for money, which will greatly reduce the cost, the current cost that we're spending on trash disposal. In fact, I just recently found out that in the past years, we have been, corrugated cardboard bundled was earning about $67 a ton. As of January this year, people are getting paid $85 a ton to sell their corrugated cardboard, which is bundled. So the trend is going up, which is really a good thing for us to know about. So if you don't know about a warrant article is voted on by the town committee or by the town at our annual meeting, separate from the budget. And the reason for that is because it's a one-time only expenditure. It is an ongoing budget. And we have determined through our research that this expenditure, which is we consider a good investment for the town of Bristol, will be paid off if we only sell cardboard bundled in 6 to 7 years. If we can add on other items, which we should be able to, it will pay for itself in even less time. And so not only is it sustainable because it's good for the environment, but it's a good investment for our town. Now, there's another thing, just quickly, I want to say that is a trend that's happening, and that is communities looking to work together to develop regional transfer stations. And we're involved in that right now in Bristol. The town of Alexandria has purchased land, and we are involved in discussions with them about the possibility of making this a regional transfer station, which would be years down the road, kind of a long-term process, but a worthwhile endeavor, and we're glad to see the towns working together on this. So just to recap, in 2018, changes beyond our control produced a crisis in Bristol. We had to suspend recycling. Today, most everything that we take to the transfer station goes into the main trash stream, and the costs to haul that away continue to go up. At the same time, there's a trend of growing new industries in the New England region. And we're now finding resources that will pay to haul away recyclable items. This reduces the cost that we spend on trash disposal, and it also is good for the environment. So how can you become more involved in this? First of all, pay attention to the trash you produce. Try to reduce, reuse, recycle. Secondly, tune in on February 22nd, where we will have on a Zoom discussion through the library and the Sustainability Committee, a longer discussion with experts who know more about this topic than I do. You can ask questions and we can take a closer look at some of these topics that I've been discussing today. Third, most importantly, come to the March 12th annual town meeting and vote with us to help bring back recycling to Bristol. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to check out the sustainability link on the town website. Bye.